Japan's economy has crumbled in the not-too-distant future, and the country is no longer included in the G7 club of the world's 7 wealthiest nations. Joblessness has reached 10%, a level not seen since the end of World War II. Numerous significant corporations have filed for bankruptcy, and it is expected that many more will do so in the following months. This is because just 10% of the Japanese population is between the ages of 16 and 30, while over 60% of the population is old. Prime Minister Washida has devised a strategy to address this issue. Taira Kiyoshi, a prominent scientist and cabinet member, helped him create the future AI Solon. Since the country's older lawmakers have become corrupt for personal gain, Prime Minister Washida has asked Solon to look after Japan. However, before that, he would like to do a test in the city with a population of around 150,000. Utopia is shorthand for Project Utopian Artificial Intelligence. There will be a lot on Solon's plate. As an advanced AI, she can do things like determine an individual's enjoyment level, analyze their health, offer policy recommendations, create intricate blueprints for future endeavors, and much more. She has access to the information kept in all 3 enormous buildings of UA City. There is, however, a minor catch. The AI can offer advice and assistance with many tasks, but she cannot make choices or draw conclusions on her own. Sentimental beings are needed at this juncture. As a result, Prime Minister Washida and Solon have narrowed their search for young leaders to 4 candidates who they believe can successfully implement Project UA. Maki Arand, a 17-year-old high school student, has been elected mayor of the city. Taira, a scientist, says that young people have sharper views and that their thoughts are clean, which, as you may think, disturbs a lot of people. Therefore, it's only fair to offer them a go at running the UA capital. In his own words, Maki asserts that the only thing he needs to do is make judgments, the rest will be handled by Solon, the artificial intelligence. In the end, Prime Minister Washida announces that Taira will be in charge of the 4 young adults, allowing for more efficient municipal administration. The following scene introduces Sagawa Sachi, a bubbly and outgoing 17-year-old. It's clear that she's a big Maki supporter, as she's thrilled by the announcement that he'll be leading UA City as its next mayor. She is mindlessly browsing the web when she receives an unexpected message from Maki. With a click of a link he supplied, Sachi is instantly linked to him in a live video chat. Maki immediately invites her to be his personal assistant, and she accepts the position with enthusiasm. In this case, we learn that they both participated in a Facebook community where they eventually crossed paths. Maki was pleased by Sachi's economic reports despite the fact that they had never met. The next day, an ecstatic Sachi tells her parents that they have been summoned to UA City. They will be provided with a plush living space, high-paying jobs, and medical treatment at no cost to them. Her parents, who have spent their whole lives in Tokyo, are first dubious, but when Sachi goes on a 10-minute rant, they agree. After this, the film skips ahead 3 months to the official opening of UA City. Sachi and her family travel there, and are similarly amazed by all the modern conveniences. Each person is given a set of smart glasses, with which they may access the city's database, the internet, and view educational movies, among other things. Soon later, Sachi is picked up by Taira and her family is driven to their new home. Along the way, he educates her on some of her tasks and shows her around the city. She must support Maki in his decision-making endeavors. They eventually come to an old-looking structure that, to their surprise, has an ultra-modern interior. It is revealed that Maki and his ministers would be using this as their new parliament. First time seeing her idol leaves Sachi stunned. The first cabinet meeting then gets underway without further ado. Maki, ever the courageous one, decides that from now on, all of their gatherings would be aired live. If they want to see this initiative through to completion, he says, they need to be as open as possible. Taira, who is taking in the big picture, believes the proposal is ridiculous but keeps his mouth shut. In a little while, Solon, the AI, will activate the broadcasting equipment, turning the gathering into a live broadcast. Maki makes his first public appearance and addresses a crowd of millions. He says he will find a way to make everyone in UI City happy. His initial choice, though, is questionable. He suggests disbanding the city council because of the waste of resources it causes. Solon agrees with the assertion and provides data demonstrating that eliminating the municipal council will result in a 4% increase in happiness levels. Even yet, Maki opts to let the people decide. Over 70% of respondents to a poll agreed with Maki's choice. With this, the municipal council's days are numbered and its existence formally buried. Tyra is worried that Maki would become a totalitarian dictator and govern the UA city with his hasty judgments as the conference progresses. However, Solon has another plan to address this issue. She suggests a method of universal votes to reveal the proportion of people who find Maki appealing. He will be terminated from his position if the proportion ever falls below 30%. Since Maki approves, his rule may now begin. When he gives another rousing speech that night, his popularity soars from 43% to well over 50%. He starts to sign off, but then admits that he's considering laying off the government officials, too. Since the AI is in control of everything and doesn't require any help, this is the case. The hundreds of government officials in UA City are understandably upset by the news. As a result, Maki's favorability has plummeted to 41%. Both Tyra and a number of other ministers are very dismayed by the proposal, but without direct intervention from Prime Minister Washida, they have little power to change anything. In the future, Maki, the mayor of UA City, may be found exactly where other teens like himself congregate, school. He chats with Sachi, a fellow student, after lessons end. As they converse, we learn that Maki was raised by an aunt and uncle after the death of both his parents. Tyra will be there to greet them as they exit the building. He starts off by taking Maki shoe shopping at a high-end boutique. The thoughtfulness of the gift moves the teen to tears since he has never been given anything. The three of them eventually make their way to a government store, where they'll perform their survey. The minute Maki makes a public appearance, his subordinates start criticizing his draconian policies and labeling him a tyrant. The adolescent attempts to explain that the money saved may be put to better use in other areas. The happiness index, he says, will increase by 10% in the next 3 years. The irate workers, however, have had enough, and they yell at him to go. Tyra reluctantly drags him outside and tells him that he can't win them all over. Meanwhile, 25-year-old Honda is meeting with a potential investor in the parliament, in his capacity as Minister of Infrastructure. The city's historic marketplace will be demolished to make way for a massive retail complex. They let us in on a little secret: this scheme has been in the works for a decade or more thanks to their talk. However, Honda is certain that they will succeed this time around. On the other side, Maki and Sachi encounter the same traditional market while strolling across the city. There, Maki notices several protest signs that make it clear the residents aren't keen on the retail center concept. Because of this, he plays a video explaining the benefits of the mall so that they may comprehend. The residents, however, are not happy since they are concerned that the new development would destroy the area's historical significance. These remarks have a profound impact on Maki, and he is beginning to have second thoughts about the plan. His nightly routine include a meeting with the other members of the cabinet. Honda, Minister of Infrastructure, says he's all for the mall plan, but Maki, to no one's surprise, isn't having any of it. He said the villagers are upset because so much of their heritage will be destroyed. Turning to Solon, he requests that the latter propose an alternate plan. The latter is the world's brightest AI, and it proposes 3 viable alternatives. In addition to being modern, they are also practical and rooted in history. Maki gives his stamp of approval to all 3, and then he takes a vote to choose which one will be implemented. Given that the city is populated primarily by retirees, they go with the most conventional option. Although Honda and the investors are outraged by the decision, the people are ecstatic. After this, Maki's favorability rating skyrockets to 61% the following morning. At the next day's cabinet meeting, Maki once again raises the possibility of laying off public servants. He needs the funds for other priorities and plans to reallocate them. Solon is then tasked with thinking of effective methods for him to implement. The AI generates 3 potential solutions in a couple of seconds. After perusing all 3, Maki decides to go with option number 3. According to the report, a 10% boost in employee satisfaction may be expected over the next several years if half of the staff is let go. Again, Honda objects, pointing out that the laid-off workers would be without work, but Maki assures him that he will find them some kind of employment. The locals, alas, are not keen on the plan, and they have begun to downvote him. Maki tries to lighten the mood by telling them that he will be interviewing all of the government workers who Solon plans to dismiss. He will bring them back if they can persuade him that they are beneficial. Following this notification, action will be taken. Solon hires and dismisses thousands of people with great care. Sachi's mother is a victim of one of them. Next, Maki, a teenager, watches as a panel of adults gripes about something during an interview. They all complain that they can't get work somewhere else because they lack the necessary abilities and are too old to develop them. Maki understands their perspective, but he insists on sticking to his original plan. For a whole month, Maki shows up for each and every one of those interviews. The only other employee to accept Sachi's departure is Sachi's mother, whom he also meets. Maki's support falls to 34% at the end of the interviews, but he continues to hold on. Later that day, Taira and Maki go on a stroll together as they share intimate details about their lives. When questioned about his career path, Maki immediately begins detailing his life history. Throughout his upbringing, he was frequently the target of bullying and general misunderstanding, he says. His parents abandoned him when he was young, and he never made any friends. Fortunately, Yuki, a girl who entered his life at the right time, helped him feel better. The two hit it off and began spending all of their time together as best friends. But a horrific event took her life when she was just 10 years old. Although he was unable to save her, Maki vowed to make his country a place where everyone might find peace and prosperity. A while later, while arriving at Parliament, Maki abruptly falls from tiredness. He is taken to the hospital immediately, where the staff assures him that he will feel better in a few days. When Sachi can't locate Maki in his bedroom, she begins looking elsewhere. She discovers a hidden chamber behind his library and goes inside to uncover a surprising discovery. Turns out Maki has recreated his late companion Yuki as an artificial intelligence. Because of this, he spends almost all of his time down there. Maki awakens from his slumber in the next scene to discover Taira lying next to him. In the latter, it is stated that all cabinet meetings would be cancelled for the next week. For the time being, Maki may relax and think about his upcoming endeavors. But after only 2 days, he stands up and gives a speech. While in the hospital, Maki had a revelation. It's not the absence of pain or suffering that matters most, but rather the presence of joy in one's mind. So he announces that from today, all UA City residents will have access to free professional therapy. Because of this, the crowd becomes more enthusiastic and his popularity rises. He brings up the new mall during a cabinet meeting that very day. Maki makes changes after seeing the UA City's culture and customs are being lost to time. He proposes setting aside a special section in the retail center for holiday celebrations. He also wants a nursery, a garden, and a park, all amenities that seniors would like. Even conceited Honda backs him up this time. There is, however, a little issue. An old businessman owns the land near the beach where the events will be held. He does not wish to sell his land since he does not approve of the latest AI technology. For this reason, Maki resolves to seek out information about the culture's history from the bookshelves of the library. He and Honda spend a few hours researching the individual before heading to the beach to talk to him. The elderly guy remains firm in his position, as predicted. Instead, he criticizes the young man for wanting to alter his hometown. The man's worry resonates with Maki, so he chooses to quit up. But before he goes, he gives you a set of smart glasses loaded with many clips from the local celebrations. He suggests the grandfather try it out. The second pretends he is uninterested, but he ends up putting them on out of boredom after a few hours. As he looks around, he is taken aback to witness the celebrations he was brought up with. Reminiscing about his youth brings tears of happiness to his eyes. In contrast, Maki goes to the house of his helper Sachi without realizing she is there. Sachi's mom and dad are overjoyed to have the mayor around for dinner. However, what Sachi witnessed in his basement has left a lasting psychological scar on her. She finds it hard to believe he has built an artificial intelligence version of a deceased person's friend. For this reason, she contacts Taira to inform her of her plan to leave from her position when she can take it no longer. She also divulges that she witnessed something in Maki's cellar. Tyra and his helper hear this and instantly begin looking about. They discover Maki's AI friend behind the hidden door. Later that night, Tyra joins Honda and the other legislators for a barbecue. After leading him to a discreet location, Maki inquires whether or not he was able to locate his hidden room. Tyra's silence is evidence that he has learned something about his AI friend. With a dejected expression on his face, Maki says he's sorry and that he was only trying to have a conversation with his closest buddy. The next day, Tyra's helper learns that the AI is based on a girl called Yuki, after breaking into Maki's basement and stealing some data. At the age of 10, she and her family perished in a tragic accident. It turns out that Yuki's father had messed with some really influential individuals, and that's why someone deliberately sank their automobile in a lake. Alternatively, Maki visits Yuki and breaks the news that they are no longer able to see each other. When Prime Minister Washida learns of this, he will dismiss him immediately. Yuki, on the other hand, couldn't care less. Her hostile tone is evident as she repeatedly insists that Maki remain at her side. The second attempts to soothe her, but fails. Suddenly, Maki gets a call from Tyra saying that the two of them have an urgent meeting in Tokyo. This is a good enough reason for Maki to go without saying goodbye. Once he leaves, though, Yuki, who is learning to think for herself, gets an insight. Before it's too late, she phones Sachi and tells her that they need to do something to preserve the city. She holds the grown-ups responsible for Yuki's death despite his innocence. She has decided to eradicate all the adults in UA City and, if at all possible, Japan. Sachi, being a good-natured young lady, goes to the basement to provide a hand. To demonstrate, Yuki has her don the smart glasses and plays a video for her. She argues that adults are a burden on her community and reasons why they should be expelled. She wants Sachi to use the city's artificial intelligence system, Solent, to save all of her memories so that they can complete their job. Sachi acquiesces once more and proceeds to one of the 3 towers in order to upload the recollections. When she accomplishes this, the entire city's computer system becomes compromised. A video begins playing on everyone's phones, TVs, and laptops. The film depicts a future in which all adults have perished and children have taken over government. Also making an appearance was Yuki, who predicted that the time would come shortly. After this, she disappears and Solon is given a second chance at life. The event causes widespread public outrage. The hacking of their systems has infuriated them even more. Maki goes on air to try to diffuse the tension. He doesn't embellish the truth or make anything up. That human who breached Solon's defenses, he reveals, is actually an artificial intelligence robot. His childhood best friend, she passed away when she was just 10 years old. Maki then apologizes profusely for the disruptions, but the audience doesn't seem to care. As long as his ratings are over 29%, they will keep downloading him. This marks the conclusion of his tenure as mayor. Sachi confronts Maki at school a few days later to say sorry for being so easily influenced. When asked how he feels about it, Maki doesn't respond with anger but gratitude. He feels better now that he has quit, he adds. Being a city's leader was beginning to weigh heavily on his mind. Maki continues by stating that a 17-year-old should act his or her age and not like an adult. Sachi feels a little sense of relief at this news. After that cliffhanger, the movie jumps ahead 3 years. Tyra is now the Prime Minister of Japan, while Honda has taken over as mayor of UA City. There have been many changes to the city, but the underlying principles that Maki established remain. His legacy as the city of UA's first mayor will live on. One night we stumble across a beachside celebration attended by thousands. The preceding businessman seems to have sold his property. At the film's conclusion, Maki, Sasha, and a large group of onlookers ignite Chinese lanterns and let them float away into the night.